Hi, Dr. Doug Meints here at the Southwest Brain Performance Center. What do zebras, I have a big question for you this morning. What do zebras and COVID-19 have in common? Think about that for a second, and we'll try to answer that for you. And we'll let you also know about how you can protect yourself against any sort of external stressor in the next few minutes. What I'd like to do now is let you know that I'm working with the brain every day with patients just like you. And the idea here is the brain itself is the physical being that's encased, it's about 3.5 pounds, it's cased inside the cranium, and it produces something magical. It produces your mind. And people all the time ask me about what it is that I do. And I said, I train the mind to work more efficiently. And by doing that, people can be happier, healthier, and more fulfilled, more successful. So if you want to be any one of those things, it might be a good idea to come talk to me sometime, and I'll open up a few options for you at the end of this 10-minute production. So I'm talking about zebras. There was a fellow by the name of Robert Sapolsky back in the 1990s who studied zebras on the plains of the Serengeti that's in Africa for people that are kind of behind on the geography. He did this because he wanted to know how they handled being chased around by lions every 2 weeks. And what he discovered was zebras in that environment never ever got ulcers. Never did. And yet you'd think that, gee whiz, after being chased around by lions and knowing that one of your siblings is going to be eaten this week, you'd think that they'd be worried about that and would cause digestive problems and so forth. He found that that wasn't true. The only time zebras get ulcers is when they're put into captivity. Interesting. So how do we relate that to ourselves? Our nervous systems are directly related to 3 major systems. One is reproduction. Number 2 is digestion. And number 3 is immunity. If we can get our brains and our nervous systems to function better, we can make differences in all 3 of those systems. So let's take a look over here. What do? I check people's brains using electroencephalography, and it measures power that the brain is putting out. Knowing that your brain puts out 30 watts of power all day long, day or night, 365 days a year, it's kind of nice to know that it's producing just enough. Now, too much causes bad things to happen. Too little causes bad things to happen. Let me name 5 of those things. On the thinking brain side, that is 5% of all brain activity, and the energy produced by the brain causes us to think, have attention, have good short-term memory, undo the threat of anxiety, impulse control, and also handle depression. All 5 of those things. So let's say you're having a challenge with anxiety. You're worried about COVID. Totally understandable. But if it takes over your whole brain, it then takes over your whole life. Not a good thing. So I'm just going to walk around the room here. Let me show you what it is that we can do. Now, getting back to what you can get from a system like this or an evaluation like this, if you're anxious, what can happen is digestion gets fouled up. What can also happen is your immune system can go down the tubes. And you'll notice that only 2% of the population worldwide is affected negatively by COVID. So what's the other 98% doing? They've got immune systems that work really, really well, evidently. They identify the bad guy, the germ of the virus, and then develop a solution for the bad guy. And that uses the nervous system, then the immune system. Interesting how this all works. So what if your immune system worked better? Because your brain did, and your mind is more relaxed. So what I'm going to show you here, this is a brain cap. Very simple thing. When we do an EEG evaluation or a brain map, I just slip this on your head like a swim cap. And what you'll notice is there are so many little sensors with holes in them on the inside of the cap. I'll put a little bit of salt water solution inside this little hole, contacts your scalp, and transmit electricity through the cap, down this cable, to my amplifier, and then into my computer. And I'm going to show you what I see on my computer. During the course of a brain map, I'll see squiggly lines like this here that shows me that I'm getting good contact between your scalp, your brain, and my computer. And it tells me how your brain is working at the time. I'm going to shift a little bit and let me show you. As a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Hang on a second. All right, and this is the product of a brain map. This is my brain map, and what I want you to notice is that there are 4 images on the top of the screen that tell me how much power is being produced. Green is right in the middle, it's great. Yellow is way too much power in this particular gear, and what that tells me is in this particular display that if we see way too much of this power over here, there's a good likelihood you have high blood sugar levels, and I do. So it's pretty darn accurate. What you'll notice here is if there's too little power in this dimension, then it's typically stress is affecting my life. And the same thing occurs over here when I see too much power in this high range of beta. So that's a real quick overview. I can also tell you which side of the brain is working better and where communication is good, where it's not so good. We can even tell in this particular image how much motivation is there, or fulfillment, or joy. If we see too much blue there, that's a bad sign. But here's the cool part. Those things are functional and they can be fixed. And that's what it is that I do with neurofeedback brain training. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's go back to here. Alrighty. So let's say I'm training this. I'm going to show you with my little fingers here. What we're seeing here is this training is being done at the temporal lobes. That's where emotion shows up. Okay. Also fear and anxiety. So because I get tense myself too, my hands get cold very easily, I tested myself and trained myself using these 2 sites. You see the image of the skull here? Right there like that. You see that? Perfect. What the color display is telling us how intense those brain waves are. Now here's the fun part. I'm watching this screen as the doc while the patient is sitting in this chair with 2 simple leads on their heads and some ear clips. Simple. No pins, no nails, no hammers. The other reason people don't come see me, I don't want to be considered crazy because people will know I'm working on my mind. I got to tell you that half the clients I see are here because they want to have better functioning minds. They might be college students or executives at large companies. It's those types of individuals that we look at from a wellness perspective, not just disease-oriented perspective. So just because you don't have OCD, PTSD, anxiety, depression, impulsivity, and those types of things, those other D words, you can come in and see me for a free consultation and an evaluation if it looks like this will help. So feel free to push that button on our website that says free consultation, and we'll see if you're a good candidate for what it is that I do. So let's take a look here. We're training an individual. This is the screen I'm looking at as a doctor. The patient sits here viewing this screen. And if you look really close at this screen, you can see it get bright and dark. When the brain is doing what we'd like it to do, so it can be a better performer, you'll see a bright screen. As the brain starts to wander a little bit or become distracted, the screen goes dark. And the subconscious mind, not the thinking mind, subconscious mind, actually starts to change itself. What's cool about this process, neurofeedback is what it's called. What's so cool about it is the changes are permanent unless you get bumped on the head afterwards. But even then, we've had people come back a year after they were done with training, and we would do another brain map, and they'd be better a year after they got done than they were when they finished the original training. So a couple other things we do real quickly here before we finish up. And this is a piece of equipment called Cardio Cloud. It's a simple way to find out how the brain and heart are connected. If there's not a real good connection between the two, it's very, very difficult to live a healthy and happy life. And the simple thing done here is this is clipped to your forefinger. There's a small laser that looks right through the fingernail. It tells me what the smallest capillaries in your head and your hand are doing. Pretty cool little mechanism. The last thing we do during our EEG evaluation, see how well your brain and nervous system handle stress, is called heart math. And this tells me how well your nervous system handles stress, adapts to it, and fixes itself. Pretty cool stuff. And the last thing we're going to show you as a real quick gizmo over here, this is passive brain training. And this is something I do in the office. It's something you can do at home if you have a piece of equipment called Brain Tap. Plus it looks pretty cool. So these are placed on, this is light and sound technology. And through the earphones, you hear music, and sometimes, if selected, you'll hear a speaker and somebody who is adept at describing how the brain works and so forth. He'll be saying one thing in one ear, another thing in another ear, talking to each part of the brain. Same time, there's going to be lights, LED lights that shine through this visor, like this. That trains the left and right brain to work together too. So, if you want to look really cool, kind of a Star Wars fan, you can do that too. So, bottom line is, we're not here to treat or diagnose in this video. Okay, what we're here to inform and inspire. If any of this has made any sense to you and you're interested in participating and training your brain to be more efficient, just let us know. You can call us or go right to the website, click on the right upper corner, and you can get a free consultation with me or one of the other doctors in the office. We're here to help you and to let you know that you can do this thing and that your body was designed to handle anything that's out there. We're here to help you do that.